Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and I'm back with a new update for the Forestry mod. The Forestry mod is currently in beta version 1.2.0.9 and the mod author has notified me that 1.2.2 will be getting released rather soon. The beta version is available on the wiki, but if you want, you can just wait for the 1.2.2 release, which will be like the full stable release. But he's told me that this 1.209 one is pretty stable. So why don't I go into briefly what he's added to the mod since the last time I've done a Spotlight video on this. You might have remembered at the last end piece of my last Spotlight video on Forestry that I was talking about the Carpenter, which is kind of like an auto crafting table for different recipes that aren't available in a normal crafting table. He's gotten that going, and there's some pretty cool stuff that you can build with that. He's also added a mushroom farm functionality, so you can build a mushroom farm, and I'll be going into those. To make a mushroom farm, you're going to need Mycelium, which is new in Minecraft 1.0, he even added a machine for creating Mycelium, and it's pretty nifty. So without further ado, why don't I get started showing you guys the stuff that's available here. So first up, I'm going to show you the mushroom farm, and just like most other farms, there's a mushroom farm and a mushroom picker, and the mushroom farmer is going to grow the mushrooms, and the mushroom picker will pick the mushrooms. Pretty straightforward. You're going to need to start with an arboretum, and the 4 pieces of glass, like almost all the machines require, and then you're going to need some red mushrooms and some brown mushrooms, and you get your mushroom farm. Pretty darn cool. So let's go ahead and hook this up and start to power it. So I've got my mushroom farm here, just with a combustion engine next to it with some fuel, just for simplicity's sake. But if you're going to be ecologically minded, you might want to use some of the other engines that are available in Forestry. But for this video, I'm doing the combustion with regular old fuel. The mushroom farm, as you can see here, requires mycelium. It requires mushrooms to plant, and its output is dirt. Because as you guys remember, the other farms here that are available do use a bit of dirt, and this is a nice way to get dirt out of your farm. So let's go ahead and flick the lever here and let the farm build for us. It's just going to clear out some land first. As you can see, it's already starting to clear out some of this grass. Okay, as you can see, it cleared out a nice little area here, so I'm just going to go ahead and TMI myself some mycelium, and we can see it start to get planted here. And it's going to build the standard mushroom farm, the regular farm recipe that you're used to. And while that's building, I'm going to explain to you guys that mushroom farms will only operate at night or in dark conditions. So again, you need to make sure it's dark wherever you're building your mushroom farm. Now I'm obviously building it above ground, but you could just as easily build it below ground to make it easier for the mushrooms to grow. They'll only grow at night or in dark conditions. So it looks like this guy's almost done, and the mycelium is up and running, and everything looks cool. And the next thing I'm going to do is get myself some mushrooms. So why don't I put half a stack of red mushrooms in and half a stack of brown. And you'll see them get planted. Pretty cool. And it's using the same planting recipe as we're familiar with. Now it looks like it's planting the red mushrooms right now. That might just be a visual bug, showing the brown texture for both. But rest assured, when they grow, they will grow into red mushrooms. So you can see I just took the red ones out, and now the brown ones are being planted. So even though it all looks brown, some of them are red, and that's just probably a bug in the current. Like I said, it's a beta. Alright, so all the mushrooms are planted, we're in good shape. And next up, for a recipe that should look almost identical to the one we just did, but use a logger in the middle instead of an arboretum, and you get the mushroom picker. Pretty spiffy. And guess what this does? It works exactly as you would expect it to. So let's go ahead and place down a couple combustion engines, give them some fuel, and I'm going to hook up another lever to them. Just to make it easier for me to turn it on, but for now I'm going to leave it turned off. It doesn't need to be running, because obviously there's no mushrooms grown yet. And while I'm waiting for the mushrooms to go, I think I'm going to make it nighttime. So there we go. It's at sunset now. And I don't like the way videos look at dark in YouTube, so I'm going to try my best not to film too much at dark, but I'm going to let these mushrooms grow, and then in the morning, hopefully I'll be able to show you what they look like once they've grown. So just keep in mind that this guy works just like the other farmers, and I'm going to place a chest next to it. There you go. And just like normal, the dirt will automatically land in here as long as this machine is running, and replace the mycelium with dirt once a mushroom has grown and is replaced, is picked. So we need mycelium here to create our farm and keep it going, and that's not exactly the most common resource, nor is it the easiest thing to produce. So Sir Sengir here has done a nice job of giving us a machine that will craft, basically, mycelium for us. You're going to need to take a fermenter, which I showed you in my previous series how to make, some glass, and some copper gears, another item I showed you how to make in the previous series, and you'll get a moistener machine. Let's check this guy out, shall we? Now you can see I came down here and just set up some red power lights, so sorry to plug red power in the middle of this video, but you'll see why I have some light system built in here in a moment. So if we open up the GUI here for the moistener, you'll see there's these blocks here. These are your input blocks. You've also got a tank. The tank needs to have water in it. And you've got this block here. This is the current operating block. And this is your output slot. This is basically where the mycelium will build up. Let's see how to use this machine now, shall we? Okay, the first thing I did is got a little tank here, filled up with some water, and I'm going to hook up this pipe here so we can watch. And you'll notice that there's a little progress bar here on the side of the machine, and it shows you how much water is currently in it in the reservoir. And the reservoir fills up with water, just as you'd expect. Now the nice thing about this machine is it does not require power to run. You don't need to hook up to an engine or anything like that. So how do we use it? Well, pretty simple. All we need to do is take a piece of wheat and place it in this block up here. But you'll notice at first nothing's happening. So why is nothing happening at the moment? Because there's too much light in here. The moistener requires at most light level 11 to operate. So we're probably above light level 11 at the moment with these bright lights shining on top. And that's the reason I've set up a light switch. The moistener will run faster the darker it is, and if it's in a completely black, pitch black environment, it'll run at its top speed, which is about 4 times faster than if it were light level 11. So you want this guy to be really dark to run as best as it can. And all we have to do is turn off the lights, and it'll start running. And you'll see it'll take wheat, and it'll convert it into moldy wheat. And the moldy wheat will be converted into decayed wheat. And the decayed wheat will then again be converted, and that will become mulch. Now mulch can be used for a couple things. Mulch can be used to create bog earth using a carpenter, and it can also be used to fuel a fermenter instead of fertilizer and manure. I'll show you that auto-crafting thing in a moment. Now if you place multiple pieces of wheat in here, it's going to grab the freshest wheat that it can find in the machine to process, and it'll dump out the excess over here on the left. So you can see, and we almost completed our block of mycelium. And once it uses up all the good wheat, it'll move on to moldy wheat. And once it uses up all the moldy wheat, etc., all the way down until it has mulch. And there's the mycelium block. So again, you don't need power to run this thing, you just need a steady supply of water and a good amount of wheat, as a matter of fact. And you'll get some mycelium for your mushroom farm. Speaking of the mushroom farm, I wonder how we made out. So why don't I head back upstairs? Oh look, it's daytime again, hooray. Well, it looks like we didn't get any growth just yet here, so I went ahead and gave myself some bone meal and made it nighttime again. And I'll just right-click on these guys to get some growth going on. And as promised, we've got our red and brown mushroom types. And it looks like everything's going pretty well. So let's go ahead and make it daytime again so you guys can actually see what's happening. Oh, look, mushrooms. Sweet. And if we go ahead and flip on this machine here, it'll start harvesting the mushrooms for us. How nice is that? Oh look, mushroom harvesting. And if we open up the chest, you'll see that we're getting mushrooms inside. Perfect. Beautiful. And of course we want to activate this machine to replace the dirt that gets created with more mycelium and plant another mushroom in its place. So that's the mushroom farm, how to make mycelium using the moistener. And like I said, there's one more item I want to show you guys here, and that's the Carpenter, which is kind of like an auto crafting table, but it makes different things than you would expect. Now, I did show you guys this recipe in the prior version of the video, but it didn't work for me because I didn't have the latest version of Forestry. But here's the Carpenter for you. Let's go ahead and turn it on and check out the interface, shall we? So again, this guy does require water to run. It uses water to keep things cool as it's doing its carpentry work, and it also requires energy, so you're going to need to hook up an engine to it. This is your input slot where you're going to kind of build your recipe. This is the expected output slot, and you're going to need to put things in boxes, and I'll explain what that's all about, but you need to build boxes and place them here, and your actual output will land here. So let's check it out, shall we? So you're going to want to go ahead and pump some water in, like I said, and you're also going to need some energy to fuel this guy. So let's go ahead and give ourselves some fuel. And hey, let's be eco-friendly with this and use biofuel for a change. You can use whatever fuel you want, I'm just changing it up a little bit for you guys. And I'll go ahead and put a lever here to activate this guy. So the Carpenter is pretty much ready. We can start pumping our water in, and it'll fill up the reservoir over here. Pretty darn simple and straightforward. Alright, let's demo a couple of the recipes that you can find here. First I'm going to take 4 pieces of wood. Now these are not wooden planks, this is the wood you actually get off the tree before it's processed. Place them in a crafting table like this and you'll get a crate. Remember I told you need to store stuff in boxes of some kind, or cartons and crates are the 2 kinds of boxes that you can make. And apply some power to it. And it'll start crafting for us. Now, if you want, you can just click this item here, and it'll force it to craft the item that exists. But just like a normal automatic crafting table in BuildCraft, if you want it to craft automatically for you over a period of time, you're going to want to set your recipe, and then place more items in the crafting table. And as long as there's at least 2 of every item that's needed, it's going to go ahead and automatically craft the recipe for you. But then it'll stop when it's like this. So this works pretty similarly to an automatic crafting table. And remember, all items have to have more than 1. Once you put the last item there, it'll start crafting using the energy from the engines. So now we've got our crates. Awesome. And hey, why not? Let's go ahead and click on this guy and tell it to start building this crate as well, because I do want to have a good amount of these. And just like I said a moment ago, click on this to force it to craft and use everything on the table. Alright, let's go ahead and assume that we have an absurd amount of cactus. Now what do you guys do when you have an absurd amount of iron? Well, it's pretty easy. You simply take your iron and craft it like so to condense 9 pieces of iron down to 1 block of iron. Well, this guy's going to do something pretty similar. Put some cactus in here, and looks like shift click isn't working just yet. And you're also going to need your crates in this top slot here. So why don't we just put these guys all like this, and you'll see that you're going to get crated cactus. So you can combine 9 cactus down into 1 crated cactus. Pretty spiffy. So this is a way to condense cactus. And if you go look on the wiki for this mod, which I'll link in the description of the video, you'll see there's quite a bit of recipes that work this way. You can condense bricks, cobblestone, dirt, bog earth, humus, netherrack. I mean, go look at the wiki. There's a bunch of things you can make doing this. And remember that mulch that I told you guys about earlier, and if you combined it with sand and dirt, you could make bog earth. This is how you do it. Pretty simple and straightforward. And it'll start creating the bog earth for you, taking the mulch, which was the output of the moistener. So again, go check out the wiki. There's even some kind of tools you can make in here, and it's basically like a stackable toolkit where you can, open up the kit and get another tool. It's pretty neat. You'll want to check it out, but I'm not going to cover it in this video. So this has been Direwolf20's mod spotlight of the Forestry mod, update 1.2. It's currently in a beta version 1.209, and it's going to be released as 1.2.2 pretty shortly. There's some pretty cool stuff going on here, as you can see, taking advantage of the Mycelium that was added in Minecraft 1.0, and a bunch of neat new machines to make a mushroom farm, and more automation, which I'm sure everybody loves. So, Forestry, check it out. Look at the link in the description of this video for a link to the forum post, as well as the wiki, where you can find out more information. This is Direwolf20 signing off. Take it easy.